Hey guys, I want to talk to you about this question because it's a really good example of one, ellipse questions, and two, the problem that we have that we see with distancing, something that we call distancing. And it's a thing that you guys do pretty often. So if you're here at this video, it is probably because you either didn't understand this question or you missed this question, you got it wrong, you misunderstood it, right? So either you had no idea or you completely misinterpreted. And the issue here is you have to, in order to do this question, have a thoroughly solid, fundamental understanding of what an ellipse is at all. You have to know what it is, you have to know how it's created, you have to understand it, which means that you've got to get really, really close to these concepts, right? You got to be real friendly with them, you got to really understand them, you have to not distance yourself. And so if you think to yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to learn conic sections and it's just some stuff and there's just like a circle and okay, there's an ellipse and anyway, I'm just going to forget it in 2 weeks, it's fine, no matter, whatever. Okay. That's not going to work. Because the issue is, if you do that, you're only going to try to memorize like the formula, right? And you say, oh, okay. An ellipse has some stuff on the bottom. It's got some fractions. Hyperbola has a minus sign. A circle, it doesn't have any stuff. There's no fractions. There's nothing on the bottom. And then that's it. That's what you've got, right? And maybe you sort of vaguely understand that there's like a y radius and an x radius for an ellipse, and maybe they're different. For a circle, they're the same, one consistent radius, but still, you're not quite getting there. You're not really at this core understanding of what's going on. So, what do we need to do? We need to think about what really happens. Very simply, you can visualize in your mind, how do you make a circle? Well, you can take some kind of a string, and you can put it at one central point, and you can make that string perfectly taut, and then you can, continue to move that string around that central point, with a pencil at the end of it, and you can make a thing. You've all used probably in your life a compass. So, you understand there's like a central point, and you make it however big you want, and you just kind of spin it around. And the distance of every single point on the outside of that circle is the exact same distance from that central point. Now, ellipses happen a bit differently. In ellipses, you can see kind of here at the bottom, you have 2 points. But that sort of triangle that's shaping and changing over there, what you might imagine is that you have sort of a circular string, right? Or a rubber band or something like that. Maybe a rubber band that's not stretchy though. So some kind of a string. And you can pull that string taut, but the thing is, as you get closer and closer to one side, you're going to sort of run out of string, and so it gets closer to the focal point. But as you get towards the middle of those two, it's going to get farther away, right? And so that's what makes it kind of closer to the focal points at the two ends, farther away in the middles, right? So fat on the one side, wide on the other side. And that kind of idea. This understanding how it's created helps you then to understand what this question is saying. Okay, if you're looking at one single fixed point, so at any point, where is P? Okay, and P is moving around, but at any point, any single place that P can be, any of the points on the outside of the curve, on the curve of the ellipse, right? So any fixed point, what is the sum of the distances from that fixed point to the two foci? And so what are we looking at? We're looking at those two changing lines that are kind of moving around. So the distance from P to S and the distance from P to S prime here. We know, because we understand how this thing is structured, we know then how we can kind of add this up, right? But if you don't understand how the ellipse is created, if you distance yourself from the concept, the fundamental concept of what an ellipse is and how it is made, you're just going to look at this question completely lost, and you're really going to struggle. So, what's the takeaway here? Realistically, if you're getting this question wrong, you're probably getting a lot of other circle and ellipse questions wrong. Circles and ellipses are a very difficult topic because students don't want to learn it, right? You probably don't want to learn it because it kind of sucks and it doesn't seem that applicable, and you're like, well, when am I ever going to need circles, right? It seems like kid stuff. It's not kid stuff. You got to really engage with it. You need to get your hands dirty, really get inside of it. make sure that you know what's going on here. Make sure that you understand what an ellipse is, how it's made, and you're going to use that for this question.